Welcome back to our course Action Game Coding Essentials. In this lesson we're going to add enemies to our game. So let's go right ahead and choose a new sprite to be our enemy. We'll click this button down here. This opens the sprite library. Now you can choose any sprite at all to attack your cat. You could, for example, have a cake. After all, this is the games world and anything goes. I am going to choose bear walking here. I'm going to click here and the sprite will load into our game like so. You'll see it's here, it's named already, and you can also see that it is very, very large, so we're going to have to set some properties including reducing its size. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll go over to our events and we'll begin by adding in when I receive how to play. We want this sprite to hide when the instruction screen shows, and then we'll add in our second event, which is when I receive begin game, and we're of course going to need show on this. But before we show the sprite, let's set its rotation style from the motion code blocks to left right, and this is because the bear is like the cat. We are looking at the bear side on, not from above. We'll also go back to our looks here and we'll set our size. Now this bear is very large, so let's try 20% in our size here, and we'll just click the code algorithm. Right, the bear has reduced down to a much better size. I'm going to go a little bit smaller to 15%, and I think that's going to suit the game fine like that. Okay, let's come back here. Now I notice one thing, and this may be a problem for you as well, but my backdrop makes it quite difficult to see this bear. So I'm going to change my play backdrop. If you remember, we have, and I've just selected the stage over here and then gone to backdrops. You'll remember that we have a how to play backdrop, a play, and a game over. Well, I'm going to keep my game over backdrop like this, but I'm going to go to my play one. I'm going to choose the selection tool here. I'm going to click on this one rectangle with a gradient in it that we have. I'm going to go up here to my fills, and I think just for the moment I'm going to turn off the gradient. I'm going to have a solid color here, and I'm just going to make it, perhaps it'll just be a green, something like this. Let's just see how this looks. If I click here, then we can have a look at our stage and we can see that our bear is much more visible. So I've now got these three backdrops: how to play, play, and game over. I'm going to go back to my code. I'm happy with that. Whoops, I need to of course select my bear again. Let's go back to my bear sprite. So far we've got rotation style, we've got a size, and we've got a show. Now if we're going to have this bear perhaps chase the cat, or if you do this with any sprite that is going to attack another sprite, it's a good idea to locate it on the stage where you'd like it to start from. So I'm going to add in from motion the go to XY code block, and I'm going to set my bear to appear in the top right corner of the stage. We will come back to this, these coordinates, and if I press B now and begin my game, you will see that my bear is in the top corner. Now that was a pretty stupid idea, wasn't it? Because I can see that's where our cat starts from also. No problem. Gives me an opportunity to change this. We're going to change this to the bottom left corner, so we will put this in minus 220 here and minus 160 here. Let's go ahead and click this code algorithm, and you should see the bear jump down to the bottom left corner. There it is. That's absolutely fine. And now we've got some properties on the bear. We can go right ahead here and create some code to move it. So let's go back to our event code blocks. You should be pretty used to this by now. We've been doing it a lot. We're going to add in another when I receive begin game. You will remember that we try and keep these algorithms separate so they are as easy to read and to revisit when we come back to edit the game. That might happen in a year's time, so it'll be easy for us to understand what we've done. Here's our properties, and this one we're about to create is going to be for movement. Now, because it's for movement, we are going to put a forever on it because we want this to occur all the time. If you remember, with our properties, we just need them to do their job once. For our movement code here, we're going to set the bear off moving, and we'll simply put in a move 2 steps code block in here, and we'll just test this. So B for begin, click, and our bear starts to move. You can see our bear moving here across the bottom of the stage. When it gets to the edge of the stage, it's going to get stuck. So let's come back and let's add in, again from motion, let's add in this code block, if on edge bounce. Let's once again try this. We'll press B and click to begin. Here we are, the bear is walking across the stage. Again, gets to the edge, but this time turns and walks back. So this is fine. We've got some automatic movement. We're going to improve this slightly because the bear has some costumes for walking, and we're going to go to looks and we're going to add in next costume, and we'll retest our game. A very nice animated walking action. There are lots of costumes for this bear. Now this is absolutely fine, but at the moment the bear is very unthreatening, just walking across the bottom of the stage. Let's try something else. Let's go back to our motion code blocks here, and let's put in a pointing direction, and we're going to put it just above the forever here. We're going to set the bear off at the beginning of the game, moving in a random direction, and let's go to our operators and let's pick a random direction. Now of course there are 360 degrees. If we turn around all the way around, that's 360 degrees. Let's make the game choose a random direction for the bear, and let's give this another go. We're going to press B, we're going to click, and now our bear sets off in a random direction. When it gets to the edge, it bounces, and this bear will continue doing this throughout the whole game. Now, we could have a situation here in our game where the cat must avoid the bear, that if the bear touches the cat loses some health. That is a possible scenario in a game. It would be pretty easy for the cat to avoid the bear in this particular situation, of course, although we could speed the bear up, and we could have in our action game an objective for the cat to achieve that means that the bear is a bit of an annoyance. Let's change the speed here to 6, and I'll just press enter to enter that number in, and let's test this. And now the cat has got to do its best to avoid this bear. And I guess what we would do in this game is perhaps the cat would be doing something else like collecting gems or something, and simultaneously need to avoid the bear, otherwise it will lose some HP. Now before we just change the coding so the cat chooses HP, I'm just going to pause and let you complete this code algorithm. So I'll just press E here, and we will zoom out a bit and then zoom in and go ahead, add this code, and then we'll continue. Okay, so we've got the bear moving around the stage. Let's change our code so that the cat loses an HP point if the bear touches the cat. So we'll return to the cat sprite over here, and you'll remember we already have these algorithms for the cat HP, and at the moment they are set so that if the cat touches the edge of the stage it loses HP. Let's simply change this and select the sprite, the enemy sprite, in my case it's the bear, and then we will rerun the game. I will do this in presentation mode. Also, I sometimes call this full screen mode. So press B and let's let the cat. Oh, this sometimes happens. We ask the game to choose a random direction to point the bear in, and it's not chosen a very good direction. So I'm going to end the game and press B again and click. And now you can see that the angle the bear is travelling in is better. There are ways to fix this, and we'll do that at some point. But for now, you will see that when the bear touches the cat, if you look up here in the top, we're losing HP. We're down to 5 now. So this algorithm is working fine. We're losing the HP as we would have expected to. Now perhaps in this game we would have the cat running around and collecting something, or possibly battling some other enemies of some kind. So if we just end the game here, and I'll just pause and allow you to change that algorithm and test it. Okay, let's now go back to the bear sprite. At the moment, as I said, we have it pointing in a random direction and then moving around the stage. Let's create another algorithm. There's another way in which we can get the bear to move. And I'm going to right click on this one and select duplicate to copy it. And we'll put the duplicate below here. And we're just going to turn off this first one. And we're going to work on this duplicate. The first thing I'm going to do is drag forever off and throw away this code block here. And this time we're going to make the bear chase the cat. And to do that, we'll go to the motion code blocks. We'll select point towards mouse pointer. Add this into the forever. It doesn't actually matter what order these are in this situation. And we're going to change this to the name of the cat, and my cat is called Cat. And we're going to test this. So now the bear is chasing the cat. And when it catches the cat, we're losing an HP point. Now, this is way too fast for a practical game. So let's end the game. And let's change our move speed to 2 steps and try it again. Back to presentation mode. And here we are. Now we've got much more of a chance of escaping the bear. And of course we can fire at it. Let's pause once again to allow you to duplicate the algorithm, turn it off, as we have done here by dragging it away from the event handler, and add these extra code blocks in. Okay, so far so good. We have the cat being chased by the bear. When the bear catches it, it loses health points. The next step is to give the bear its own HP. So let's go over to variables. And once again, make a variable for all sprites. I'm going to call mine bear HP. You can, of course, call yours whatever your sprite is named. We're going to keep it for all sprites only. And I'm going to click OK. And the code we need for the bear is almost the same as that we have used for the cat. And we can go ahead and reconstruct that code, but why don't we take a shortcut? We're going to select the cat. Here's the code, and we're simply going to copy this code by dragging it onto the bear. Now, if you look carefully, you will see the thumbnail wiggles. I'm going to do this slightly more carefully because there's a few things you need to be aware of here. If I grab this algorithm here, up here towards the top left, you will see that the bear doesn't wiggle until my cursor is over the thumbnail. And if I drop it, it's going to simply copy this code onto the bear. Now, if I select the bear sprite, you will see that Scratch has copied the code in. It often puts it in a rather strange place, overlaying other code. So find it, bring it down to the bottom here. We're going to go back to the cat and we're going to drag the second code algorithm, wait until the bear wiggles, there it goes, and drop it. Switch to the bear. We can see that this algorithm is covering up these ones up here. Let's move it down. Now we have code that we can edit. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to select hide bear HP. Down here it says show variable cat HP. This needs to be show variable bear. This needs to be switched from cat to bear. Down here, well, the thing that is going to take HP from the bear is going to be the fireball. Over here, this one needs to be bear HP, and we simply right click and select bear HP. We're going to change this one to bear HP. I think you're probably getting the gist of what I'm doing here. Whoops. Zoom in, and of course this one, another right click, bear HP. And there we are. We have successfully duplicated and edited this code. On the stage over here, you will see that we have our two variable displays. I like to move them to the top corners like this. Let's go ahead and test the game. Now it should be possible for us to take HP from the bear. You can see it's gone down to 8 over here. Let me fire again. And there we are, it's gone down to 7, once more to 6. If the bear catches us, we're losing HP over here. There we go. Now that is working beautifully. Let's end the game and pause to allow you to copy and edit this code on the bear sprite. We're making good progress now. I want to go back and make a small change. You will notice that when the cat fires its fireball, it goes straight through the bear. It takes bear HP, but it also goes straight through the bear, like so. Okay. Now what would be good is if the fireball, if we miss the bear, the fireball disappears on the edge of the stage. If it hits the bear and takes HP, it also disappears. So let's press E and escape. This time we need to select the fireball down here. And if we zoom in to this code algorithm, which you will remember is the one for throwing the fireball, down here we have a code block, repeat until touching edge. So if mouse down, then go to the cat, point towards the mouse pointer, and repeat until touching edge. Now we need to change this so that it says repeat until touching edge or touching the enemy, which of course is the bear. So we're going to go over here to operators. We'll get our OR operator right here. Let's drop it down here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our touching edge operator out and drop it in here. I'm going to right click on it, duplicate it, and change the second one to touching bear walking. We'll grab the OR in the middle, put it back into the repeat until, and now we have repeat until touching edge or touching bear walking. Let's go ahead and test this. Now the fireball, when it takes HP, and you can see up here it's taking HP from the bear, it disappears. Of course the cat is losing HP as well when the bear catches it. So here we are, taking HP from the bear, and if we take all of the bear's HP, the game will end and we have won. So once again, let's pause to allow you to change this code by exchanging the touching edge for touching edge or touching bear walking. Okay, we have almost completed our lesson, but there's a couple of things I just want to finish up on. And the first thing is that when we duplicated the code from the cat to the bear and then edited it, one thing we didn't change is the amount of bear HP that we set at the beginning of the game. Now there's no reason why this should be the same as the cat. We might, for example, want to give the bear more HP to make the game more challenging. So you could go and just fix that. The other thing I noticed whilst playing the game, and I'm going to select the Fireball sprite here and its costumes, is that we have these two costumes, one of which is much larger than the other because it has these flames coming off the back of it, and that had an effect on our ability to fire from the edge of the stage, if you remember. And in this game, if we select the Fireball with the flames and we go back to its code, we will see that it is only moving 10 steps away from the edge of the stage if the cat is throwing from the edge of the stage, which means that with the larger costume it may not throw. Let's go and test that. So we'll move to the edge of the stage and we can't throw from this edge of the stage and we can't throw from this one. So I just wanted to remind you here that it might be worth in the code experimenting with your size. If we take this down to 15 and we maybe make this, let's see, 20 steps. So we're reducing the size of the Fireball sprite and we're increasing the movement away from the edge of the stage. And let's go and test this and see if this works. We'll move the cat down here so he's firing fine from there. Firing well from the top and from the edge. So there is a relationship here between the amount of steps that the projectile moves away before it starts to fire or throw, if you like, and the size of the projectile costume. So you may need to experiment with the size here in your code and the movement steps to get it to fire correctly. Now, you may remember that when we were coding the bear's movements, and I'm going to switch back to the bear sprite here, we created two algorithms, one of which was to have the bear move automatically in a random direction, and the other was to have the bear point towards the cat and follow the cat. Now I'm just going to turn off that one in which the bear follows the cat, and I'm going to turn back on the one in which the bear sets off in a random direction. Now we had a problem with the bear setting off in a rather poor random direction, so I'm going to show you how to limit the range of directions that the bear can set off in. Let's just test this briefly. So here's a good example. The bear is going at a very sharp vertical angle here, and that may be okay, but it may not. So what we're going to do is we're just going to end the game and we're going to come back here. At the moment we've got a random number of directions which is all around. Let's see if we can limit this these directions. So if we just temporarily put a point on direction code block on here and then click on it, you will see the range of angles that we have. Now at the moment the bear can move in any direction whatsoever. Between 0 and, well, if we come all the way around again, it's 360 in effect. So let's limit it so that it can only move, let's say 30, let's make it 30 to 70 and see what that does. So we'll come back to our pick random here and we'll put in 30 to 70 and then we'll test the game a couple of times. Okay, I'm just going to keep retesting it and see what kind of angles the bear goes in. It's going in very similar range of angles here. That's a more acute one. And I think that this kind of range of angles is going to be better for a sprite that starts in the bottom corner. Let's make a little alteration to our code here, and let's make the bear go to Y0, which is vertically the middle of the stage, and we'll try again. Now you'll see now that the bear is always going to go upwards. I'm stopping and starting the game. So let's come back here and let's choose a range of angles between 45 and 120. Let's try that. 45 and 120. And let's go and retest the game. Oh, that's very unusual for it to go almost horizontal. Let's keep going. So it can go down, it'll sometimes go up. This is potentially, I'm just restarting the game of course, this is potentially a better range of angles. So I'm going to make a suggestion that you alter this code. You may not have this code block turned on, you can just return it on, but I'm going to pause here and allow you to edit that code and test it. Okay, so it's time to save our game. Once again, up to File, Save to your computer. And I think that this time we should give the game a proper name. This is no longer really a template file. And I'm going to name this game very simply. It's totally up to you what you call your game. I'm going to call it Cat versus Bear. And I'm going to give it a version number. I'm going to call it Cat vs Bear version 1 and then save it. And that's it for this lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to look at having the bear automatically throw something back at the cat.